It's a lovely evening here. Welcome to Atlantic Television Network. Ekpo Temple is my name, and of course, it's a time when we take you through happenings in sports and a lot to talk about here. I tell you for sure that the finalists in the CS African Cup of Nations have emerged, and we talk about them, not forgetting that there are other interesting stories emanating from sports. I'm not going to do this alone, but when we go on a quick break and come back, I'll introduce a guest in this studio. Don't go anywhere.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN Day. Only on ATN.
All right, welcome to Atlantic Television Network. If you're just joining us, this is the platform where we'll take you through 360 around the world of sports. All right, we'll start with a bit of weightlifting, where Joy Ogboneze rounded off a magnificent performance for Team Nigeria at the ongoing Weightlifters Championship in Egypt. This looks like, you know, a repeat of what we talked about a few days ago. But joining us this evening to look at what we have this evening is Emmanuel Michael. Emmanuel, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure as always.
It's a pleasure. And like I talked about the weightlifters, I mean, it looks like we ended up on high, you know, in Egypt. And it's a lovely news to see Nigeria at the top of our activities.
Yes, of course, it's a lovely news as well. And when you talk about weightlifting, I think this one area that we say, yes, we have the comparative advantage. We talk about weightlifting, wrestling, and football. These are three major areas which we always use as our area of strength whenever we are heading out there for any major tournament. And you see the massive display, the magnificent show of some of our weightlifters out there, you know, followed up with what their pair did 3 days ago by winning, you know, such as gold medal, silver, and as well. So yesterday they all continued in that same feat also by making sure that they also, you know, win 1 or 2 laurels out there. And again, I think we are heading closer to picking one of the tickets for the forthcoming Olympic year. And of course, this is an Olympic year, and it's always very good, you know, when we are anticipating the Olympic and the All-African game as well, you know, that will be taking place Accra in Ghana. It is always good to see, you know, our weightlifters in a fine form, because at least it gives us that hope, you know, going forward, knowing fully well that when they get there, they have what it takes to go out there and do us proud.
When they get there, they have what it takes to go all out there and do us proud. Our weightlifters are not doing badly at all. I mean, they surpassed so well. We saw Izzy, you know, had 3 gold medals, made it 11 medals for Team Nigeria, including a whopping 6 gold and 5 silver. Surpassed last year's performance, you know, in Tunisia by a mile. I mean, when you win 11 medals, 6 gold, 5 silver, it tells that Team Nigeria is doing so well. And every year, there is a tendency of surpassing your previous achievement. That's, for me, very important here.
Yes, of course, there is a tendency of surpassing your previous achievement, and that is what we hope to see, because you always want to hope for the best. If we have achieved, you know, 9 gold this season, or 9 silverware this season, come next year we'll be looking up to double that figure. And I think for me that is progression, because you don't expect to be retrogressing, rather you expect to be progressing. So like I said earlier, I think it's a good omen for the Weightlifting Federation of Nigeria.
Good omen for the Weightlifting Federation of Nigeria. I want to believe that the Nigerian Weightlifting Federation Chairman Dr. Ibrahim Abdul praised the gallant efforts of the 4 weightlifters who all won medals for Team Nigeria and have boosted their chances of picking Olympic ticket. He said the weightlifters will return back to the country to prepare and commence preparations massively for the All-African Games. I think this is the next point of call. If they can achieve this at this level, nothing also stopping them from also doing the same. I mean, even representing us better, because at the championship now also acts as qualifiers, even the All-African Games. There's a level to which you will post result. It acts as qualifiers to what you want to achieve.
Yes, of course, and that is why I said earlier that don't forget that this is an Olympic year. The All-African game is by the corner. So I think for me, just a warm-up while waiting for the official kickoff of the All-African game. But like I said earlier, I think it's a positive one, you know, for the Weightlifting Federation of Nigeria, because Well, we are preparing massively, and a major championship is just by the corner, and we are doing pretty well. Then there is this assurance that definitely when the main event officially kick off, there is this hope, that you are going to win 1 or 2 medals out there.
There's this hope that you're going to win 1 or 2 medals out there, and that's very important, and we'll get to see how it all pan out. But one thing certain is that Team Nigeria will always blaze on and hopefully, represent us very well, especially weightlifters, 4 of them picking medals as they just concluded the All-African Weightlifters Championship in Egypt. We hope that they can also do the same in Ghana. But away from weightlifting now, let's talk about basketball. And of course, the D Tigers comes to mind at this point. Ahead of the Olympic qualifying tournament, well, they played the game already against Senegal. We'll get to see how that pans out. But today is the one of that encounter. Or they're hoping to play against Belgium. Hopefully, Renan Wakama knows what his players are up to. FIBA yesterday confirmed the players that have been selected, and with the game that have been played already, although we cannot confirm the result now, but hopefully, it looks like Nigeria have done this one, but looking for the next particular one against Belgium.
Yes, hopefully, like I said, the official result hasn't yet gotten to our desk, but while we are waiting for that one, we should be very, very positive. We know that Senegal, they're a very strong side as well, but then with the level of what we see from the girls last season or last time out where they were able to win the Afro Basketball Championship, and coupled with the invited players, which for me I think these are the best of, and we're very hopeful that we are going to get it past over Senegal. And our next game is against Belgium before we got to face United States of America, who is a very stiff opposition. But I think if we get it right today against Senegal, then there is this hope that we can build on that confidence going forward.
If we get it right against Senegal, there is hope that we can build on the confidence going forward, and that's what we expect to see as time progresses. But away from that, let's talk athletics now. We are World 5,000 meter silver medalist Mohamed Qatar has been provisionally suspended by the Athletics Integrity Unit. When you hear that players, athletes are suspended, you begin to ask what is the problem. And this man missed a 3 doping tests, and with that now, he's been suspended.
I think for me it's quite disappointing, because this is not the first time that we are hearing that athletes has actually missed 3 doping tests where they actually fail or jump the gun from not being tested. I think for me it's quite shocking, because shocking in the sense that these are professionals. They understand the implication of jumping 3 doping tests. I think for me they should also realize that the Athletic Integrity Unit always want to maintain that name tag, that they are nomenclature talking about integrity. So there's always a need for them to stay professional. But when you miss the first one, miss the second one, and the third one, I do not think that you have any cogent reason out there. That is the same case that our own Toby Emotion faced last time. So I find it very funny where professionals fail to stick to the rules or adhere to the rules that guide the game. It becomes very, very embarrassing. And again, he's saying that he's going to, appeal this case. What are you going to appeal? You had 3 major doping, opportunity for you to attend. If you had attended the first one or second one and you skip the second or the last one, that would be very understandable. But you skipped all of these 3 process, and you want to reappeal for what? So it becomes very difficult for me to understand the reason why professionals who truly understand what it means, the implication of that, to also continue to jump the gun.
Of course, he is a 5,000 meter, and of course, he has a lot to offer. Qatar won the 1,500 bronze in 2022 and will appeal against the sanction. My thing is, this is just provisional suspension.
Yeah.
He still has a lifeline.
Yeah.
Appeal against it and see if it will pull through. If Toby Emotion can appeal against us, and it's a 3-man panel was set up for her sake. I don't know, but in this case, he has to appeal to the conversation. What do you call them? The CAS, yes, and arbitration for sports. What about arbitration for sports, and see if it will pull through. But the implication is that if you don't win it, it's a big challenge altogether.
Yes, of course, it's a big challenge altogether, and that will, even increase the ban to more stiffer, penalties. It will amount to possibly years, being handed to you. And I think if he cannot be able to prove his case very right, then I think that is going to be a very, very big problem for him, because definitely they are going to extend the ban more like 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, depending on the evidence. If it is cogent enough, they are going to give him soft landing. But then, if it's not cogent enough, then it's a big problem for him.
If it's cogent enough, they will give him soft landing. But if it's not cogent enough, then they will. Well, I want to so much believe that it is matters that can be nipped in the bud. But let's see how far that goes. But unfortunately, it has been provisionally suspended, and we'll just see how it will go. Away from that, let's talk tennis, and it's all about Emma Raducanu, the former Grand Slam winner, who was denied a place in the Abu Dhabi Open quarter-finals by second seed Ons Jabeur. You know, competing as a wild card, she lost 6-4, 6-1 with the Tunisian world number 6. This shouldn't be a surprise to many who have been following Emma Raducanu. Yes, she won particular one. She won the first game in this particular tournament, but I mean, when you get to play against Emma Raducanu, I mean, it certainly Ons Jabeur, a lot of us felt that there was no hope for her.
I said this very issue. I said this about 3 days ago. You know, I said that Ons Jabeur, the game against Ons Jabeur is going to be a litmus test for her, and it actually proved so, because Ons Jabeur is the world number 6 right now. Ons Jabeur will also say that she didn't do pretty well in this year's Australian Open as well. So coming at the back heel of the fact that she didn't actually do well, she wanted to at least do something spectacular to give her fans something to cheer home about, and that is why she was able to dislodge Emma Raducanu. And for me, if you ask me, I think that Emma Raducanu as well has not been informed since that injury have blighted her performance. She has find it very, very difficult to replicate the same form that we see her in the past.
Replicate the same form that we see her in the past, and this looks like a not a good one at all. When you win a Grand Slam since 2021, she had injury concern last year, and coming back after she lost at the Australian Open. I would hope that she will even bounce back strongly, as time progresses. But one thing certain is that Emma Raducanu is still a very young star, and a lot of us still feel that, I mean, what can be done to rejuvenate that excellent form we saw of her in 2021 when she won the US Open?
For me, it's quite simple. I just think she needs to take a time out and be able to build her confidence back. Get back to the training court. Go behind the scene and be able to work on yourself. Look at some of these lapses and be able to correct them. If there is no cases of injury, because since you talked about injury last year, I know, yes, that you may say that you had a toll against her. But then, if she's very fit now, what is stopping her from hitting the peak? She just truly need to go back to the court, to train very well behind the scene, perfect some areas that you feel that you are not doing pretty well, on the court before she can bounce back. Because if she continue in this format, I tell you, maybe she's going to lose many fans out there, because you don't expect some fans that have also, been emotionally attached to you because of the joy that you bring into their heart out there. When you are playing, you are giving them that victory. But when you continue to churn out bad results, then you stand a chance of losing so many fans out there, which is very bad for her own image. We know she is a young lad. There is still time on her to improve on her game. So I think that's what she needs to do.
That is what she needs to do, and let's keep our finger crossed on that particular one. Let's see how far it goes. One thing I know for sure is that we're going to have more glorious moments, going forward. But Emma Raducanu can still bounce back. Who says there is no potentials in that lady? Keep our finger crossed. But now to Formula One. A lot has been said about Lewis Hamilton in recent time, since he announced that he will be moving to Ferrari next season. And Alpine driver Pierre Gasly says that he was not surprised that he moved. And why is it you're not surprised? It looks like they're already preempting, Lewis Hamilton, that if the machine is not good enough, he will move. But it's far beyond that, isn't it?
It's far beyond that. And for me, I think if you say that he wasn't surprised, then he must know one or two things on the reason why he's moving. But for me, I think he's just remaining very professional not to disclose this out there. Because if you actually know that he was going to leave, he should have been the one that would blow the trumpet. But then he's decided to keep it to himself. I don't know whether it's a mind game or whatever, but then the truth is that you can't know, someone else more than the person knows himself. I don't know if they have any close relationship or understanding, that they do share secret among themselves. That is remain to be seen. But then he's speaking out of his own, mind. I don't know whether out of his own experience or knowledge. But then this is what we get to hear when there is always a big move out there from some of these top stars.
This is what we get to hear when there is move from top stars, and we hope that this move will be well utilized in recent time. But for Lewis Hamilton, he's short bound, to go for, to prepare for this season. The next few days now, we'll see the sprint race and all that, and then let's see how if Team Mercedes will compete. But he has said he will compete strongly this season, since it is his last season with Team Mercedes.
Yes, of course, he's been very, very professional because don't forget, this Mercedes has done a whole lot for Mercedes, having won about 6 major, races with them out there. So we are expecting to remain that professional attitude, to show that professional attitude, to show that loyalty. And of course, if you are leaving any organization, you must leave on a high note. You must leave, with the intent that you might also cross the same path next time when you meet with your former employee. So he doesn't want to live with a sad relationship because nobody knows what holds in the future. So I think this is what he's trying to do, trying to, tell them that, yes, I signed a professional contract with you and I'm going to remain professional even till the end of the season before I take my leave.
Let's see how it all pans out. But one thing certain is that Lewis Hamilton and others, Red Bull and all that, it looks like the Red Bull guys are just calm. They are just observing what is happening. Max Verstappen has not been in for some time. We've not talked about him, But obviously he's fine-tuning his strategies and plan for this season.
Yes, of course. They are just monitoring proceedings. They are doing the talking silently, So I don't know what is in their mind, but then when the season kicks off officially, we will get to see some of this secret that they have been hiding.
All right, with that now, let's go on our first break. When we come back, we'll look at other issues in sports. This is the Atlantic Television Network. Don't forget, we'll talk about the African Cup of Nations and what transpired yesterday between Nigeria and the Bafana, as well as Ivory Coast and DR Congo.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
you human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
from the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought a very family.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order. Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Back from that break, and it's time to look at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations, and yesterday was the semi-finals of this particular one where we saw 2 games played, you know, and the finalists have emerged in this is AFCON. 2 more games to go, Emmanuel, but let's start with all that played that yesterday. The first game was Nigeria versus South Africa. We saw the result, ended in penalty. Your take on that particular one?
I think for me it was a very tough game for the Super Eagles. I think looking at the games they've played so far, we say that it is that South African game that I would say that give them a bit of a tough time, because he had to drag to extra time and went down to the penalty shootouts, which for me they find it very, very difficult. Looking at the Bafana boys yesterday, their game plan was to keep possession of the ball, look for those pocket of spaces and possibly punish the Super Eagles. But then, our goalkeeper, talking about Stanley Nwabali, have a very strong statement to make that yesterday, and that is why he was given the man of the match at the end of the whole thing because of those massive saves. If not for Stanley Nwabali yesterday, I tell you, the South Africans, they should have been able to take the lead in the first quarter of the game, because they had a couple of chances have to bury the game or even put the game to bed. But then, thanks to Stanley Nwabali, who was very, very firm in making sure that he was able to keep those balls away. But then in the second half, you say, yes, the Super Eagles came into the game as well, tried to play the game as well, but then it wasn't to be. It was a very, very tough encounter. But thank God to Victor Osimhen as well, who also got that penalty, and courtesy of that penalty, we were able to go 1-0 up. And when we went 1-0 up, even the South Africans, they even came back into the game very strong. They tried to take the game to us. They knocked the game around, created a pocket of chances for themselves. And of course, at the end of it all, the chances that they created actually paid off for them when we saw that tackle against one of their players in our 18-yard box, building up to that second goal, which Osimhen scored, that was disallowed. We actually saw that there was an infringement building up to that second goal. So the referee had to go back to the, to his monitor screen out there and discover that there was a very rough tackle against the South Africa in our 18-yard box. And he pointed to the spot, and boom, a 1-1, game on. From then, the South Africa had to take control of the game. It took the excellent, substitute of Joseph Pizarro to be able to remove Alex Iwobi in the middle of the park, because if you ask me, Alex Iwobi in that yesterday game, I think he's the only player I would say that did not perform to his peak. Immediately Alex Iwobi was subbed, Al Hassan came into the fray, Samuel Chukwueze, we got to have bulk of the possession of the ball. And I think in all, I would just say that the South African, they actually did their best, but with the experience of the Super Eagles, we were able to go through in that very one.
Now, you talked about, let's look at Team Nigeria before we talk about South Africa. Team Nigeria, I mean, it looks like they had a very good tactics, just like I've seen them in other games, but the South Africans are also very tactically inclined, more like they studied them, so they met their opposition, a strong opposition yesterday. Was there anything South Africa, I mean, they did differently that they should have done yesterday against South Africa to ensure that the game ended in full time?
Yes, of course. One of the things they should have done, to ensure that the game didn't get to even penalty shootout or even extra time per se, was that they should have taken their chances. They have, a couple of chances, to have buried the game, but they didn't take it. Look at that one-on-one that Lukman Ademola had with their goalkeeper when we were still 1-0 up. I mean, there was no need of trying to round up the goalkeeper. You were in a vantage position. Take the shot once, but he didn't do that. He was trying to round up the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper stretched out his hand and pulled off that magnificent save. If he had put the ball behind the back of the net, that should have nailed the coffin. Victor Osimhen as well had 1 or 2 chances when there was an in-swinger sent to him to have nodded home, but then he nodded very wide. So we didn't take our chances in that yesterday's game when it came, and we nearly paid for it. But God, I think I will use the word of Joseph Pizarro, that God gives and God takes, and God gave us the victory yesterday. If not, we should have been crying foul by now.
Now, a lot of think that Nigerian defense have been very massive, that Nigerian defense, made the impact that was desired in this particular one. How to is that as compared to yesterday's game?
Yes, of course, you will say yes. We just considered just one goal, despite you know, the creativity of the South Africans, because they were able to create a few chances for themselves out there, knock the ball around, took the gun down to us. You know, they literally troubled our, you know, our defense line in that yesterday game. But then I think Truth Ekong and Calvin Bassey, Semi Ajayi, Ola Aina, they were equal to the task, and that is why we, you know, we saw them, you know, very limited in having those chances, taking their chances as well. But I tell you, the Super Eagles defense has been very, very magnificent since the start of this African Cup of Nations. We've just considered 2 goals from an open play in 5 games played so far. So you say yes. I mean, in 6 games played so far, you say yes. Our defense line is very, very thick.
The partnership between, the partnership between Ekong, Trust Ekong, and Semi Ajayi, you think that was a good pair as compared to Mario, and maybe Semi Ajayi or Mario, Kenneth Mario and Ekong?
Yes, of course, I would say the partnership between Ajayi and Ekong is very, very effective. It's been proven very, and I think Semi Ajayi is the unsung hero within that defense line. We're not talking much about him. He's very silent, very silent,
but he does his job.
He does the basic things out there. You can't easily get past him, and he's very quiet, but he's doing his job, you know, perfectly. He does the basic things out there. So, like I said, he's the unsung hero within the defense line. He's not talking much, but he's getting the job done and dusted out there. So, I would say yes, the partnership of Semi Ajayi and Truth Ekong is very, very effective compared to that of you know, Omeru and Ekong.
Compared to that of Mario and Ekong, and I hope that in the coming days we're going to see more even. But one thing I know for sure is that Team Nigeria blazing on, and Kevin Bassey, Olaina, always will not disappoint whenever any room. In fact, they call Kevin Bassey the utility man these days.
Yes, of course. I think he has been able to prove to the world that indeed, you know, he's one defender that you can rely on any day, anytime. And Ola Aina as well, he's been very, very fantastic, fantastic since the start of this African Cup of Nations. Whichever, you know, defense you deploy him, whether in the right-hand side, whether in the left-hand side, he's sure going to give you that offensive ability and also defensive ability. So I think our defense line, they have been very, very massive.
The first line have been very, very massive. And let's look at the midfield. You talk about, you know, Iwobi. And a lot of people have always complained about Iwobi in recent time, that Iwobi has not been the best of himself. And if having played almost all the games, a lot of people are not still impressed. Does it imply that just maybe after this AFCON, recalling him to the national team or inviting him to the national team will become a problem because we're having other options in the midfield?
I won't totally agree. Even though Iwobi have not lived up to the expectation, he hasn't been living up to the billing as a creative midfielder for the Super Eagles in this African Cup of Nations. But then you cut him some slacks out there. Why? Because, you know, the formation that the coach is using doesn't allow him to have that free role of, you know, creating those chances. You know, he's limited to, you know, also helping the defense line as well. So he's not that, you know, free role midfielder that can roam around the center and always get those through passes out there. That is why you see him limited. Sometimes you see him sitting even very deep, you know. So I won't actually, you know, blame Iwobi. We saw the best of the creative ability of Alex Iwobi when he was playing his, you know, club football with a certain Arsenal under Arsene Wenger. You know, but since he moved down to Everton, we've seen him being deployed in different areas, you know, out there at Everton. Sometimes in the wing, sometimes in the midfield. And when he moved to Fulham as well, you know, he has been deployed as from the wide, I mean, from the left flank out there. But when it comes to the national team, he plays in the midfield role. So you can't actually blame Iwobi. And Iwobi is not this kind of player that have this energy that can help him to muzzle for the ball. No, he's very very flexible. If you give him the role of that free role in the middle of the park, that is where you are going to see the best of Iwobi. So I think the tactics of the coach is actually limiting the creative ability of Alex Iwobi, and that is why we've not seen the best of Iwobi. But then I feel that the tactics is working for us, and that is why the coach have stick to that tactics. If you say, okay, let us see the best of Iwobi, and you try to give him that midfield role, our opposition, from what we saw from the South African team yesterday, they will overrun us in the midfield. So I think the coach tactics have limited Iwobi's performance in the midfield.
The coach tactics limited his performance in the midfield, but let's see how it all plays out. And I can tell you that as time goes on, we'll get to see. But then we cannot talk about everything that played yesterday without talking about the two goalkeepers. But let me start with our own goalkeepers, since we're still talking about the Super Eagles. It looks like Nwabali is the next replacement for Vincent Eyama. Is that in the right order?
Yes, of course. When he asks, when you say,
maybe it's early days to judge, but from his show in this AFCON, we worry less now about goalkeepers.
Yeah, of course. If you ask me, I will not say that it is an early days to judge. Which other biggest, soccer fiesta would you want to anticipate? Session of the World Cup, maybe Champions League. What other competition that comes to your mind? Is the African Cup of Nations. In fact, literally, as the African Cup of Nations is going on right now, nobody even cares about the Premier League. You barely understand that there is an Asian Cup as well. So African soccer, the benchmark of it, the height of it is the African Cup of Nations. So if you get to African Cup of Nations and you're able to prove your mettle to the world, I mean, there is no other parameter that you will say, yes, maybe let us wait, to test him before we can truly beat our chest and say, yes. Of course, for me, he's that man that have been able to bring that confidence back within the, stick for the Super Eagles. And I believe he's going to serve as the #1 for now, because I don't expect Jose Pizarro or any other coach, if Pizarro is not retained, to come and start, making another twerking within the, goalkeeping department. We've tried Uzoho. We saw his schoolboy's error, which actually cost us. We tried Okoye, the fine boy. We saw some of those lapses as well. So Daniel Akpeyi, we tried him in the past. We saw some of those mistakes. But this is a young man who was even brought, he wasn't even in the picture. But Jose Pizarro had to go to South Africa few months before the African Cup of Nations. I spoke to him. This is someone who had no national team experience, and he's exuding with confidence, doing the basic thing. Look at some of those point-blank saves and penalty to Capital. So I think for me, he has cemented his place, in that Super Eagles as the, #1.
Cemented his place as #1, in the Super Eagles, and I can tell you that it's not going to be anything easy for the Super Eagles. But let's look at the opposition. South Africa, the tactics. It looks like they studied Nigeria so well that Hugo Bruce and his boys, he's played in such a magnificent pattern. I mean, the first half, it was just about the South Africans. Nigeria had glimpses of opportunities, but I mean, a lot of people will say that if South Africa has utilized the opportunity yesterday, maybe we'll be saying something else today.
Of course, I said this earlier, that if South Africa has taken their chances in the first half, I tell you, we will find it very difficult to even come back into that game. There's something that that goals gives you as a team. If you are playing and you get the first goals, it gives you that stability. It helps you to settle down and be able to, carry out your game plan perfectly. But when you concede first, it destabilizes the plan and the pattern of play of the opposition team that conceded the early goal. And that is what I think that, South Africa failed to do yesterday. If they have taken their chances from the one they created in the first half, I tell you, Super Eagles would have found it very, very difficult to come back into that game. So I think South Africa, they will have themselves to blame for not taking their chances in the first half.
South Africa will have themselves to be blamed for not taking and utilizing their chances in the first half. But let's see how it all pans out. But one thing certain is that, they had more opportunities, but they came strongly when they scored that goal. That goal came at the nick of time, and that really motivated them to feel that. And the belief in their goalkeeper also would have enhanced the belief that they can cause Nigeria an upset.
Yes, of course. When they got that goal, it's just about 7 minutes before the normal regulation time of 90 minutes. And having scored at that crucial time, at that crucial moment, it gave them that belief. And you see them, having bulk of the possession. They ask most of the question immediately they score that goal. They literally, terrorized our defense line within those few minutes remaining. But then, the coach was very, very tactical enough to do that substitution at that point in time. That is where he brought in, Terence Murphy, who came and changed the narrative. When Terence Murphy came, he was an agile and very mobile player. You saw those through pass, and he was able to capitalize on it with those solo run out there. And he's very, very strong and quick. There are some players that literally you expect them to fall very easy, in the 18-yard box. Even when he was tackled, there was this, still believe in him that he can still catch up with the ball. He didn't want to go down very easily. He still want to stand his feet. Well, when it was very, very obvious that he cannot get to the ball, that is when, he fell down. And courtesy of that, the defender got a straight red. And that actually gave us that belief, because when they were, one man down, they had to resort to defending. And that is why we had to pile the pressure against them. If not, I tell you, it would have been a very difficult one for us. But immediately they got that red card. Courtesy of that numerical disadvantage, they resorted to defending, and that is when the Super Eagles had to take the game to them.
That was when the Super Eagles took the game to them, and it became a different altogether. But the truth is, Nigeria, they are now in the finals of the 34th edition of the Africa Cup of Nations. And later on, we saw a game between Congo and the host, Ivory Coast. Sebastian Haller was different in that encounter, made a difference in that game. And it looks like Ivory Coast, not a team many believe to get to this level. Somehow they are in the finals of this year's AFCON.
Yes, of course. I think they will be the happiest of the nation so far, having nearly exited the competition at the group stage. They had to even sack their coach before waiting for the final result, because as at then their destiny was out of their hand. So they had to depend on the result from other games, especially that of Morocco, before they could know their fate. But they had to even sack their coach, because they thought that was the end of the road for them. But miraculously, Morocco had to come to their aid by winning their last game. And courtesy of that, they passed through the back door as one of the best losers to get to this point. Since then, I think for me, the players had to speak to themselves and actually learn a lesson, having been handed a lifeline. And that is why they have capitalized on that, to be able to make amends for their dismal display during the group stage.
Well, it looks like Emerson Faye would have also done a whole lot. He looks like he's not really talked about. I mean, the interim coach of Ivory Coast now, he's not really been talked about, but he's doing a good job with us.
Yes, of course, very silently, but he's doing a good job. We saw some of those good tactical switch and substitution in their previous game before this, where they actually got a red card. He had to do tactical, twerking. He subbed Nicolas Pepe, I could still remember. And Nicolas Pepe was the only striker that seems to be biting for the attack, But when he subbed him, people were like, wow, what is he doing? Does he even know what he's doing? Why will you sub a player that is even forcing the attack? But not knowing that it was a tactical change out there. And at the end of it all, it actually paid off for them, because they had to equalize at the nick of time. And he went to extra time. And in the extra time, they also had to score the winning goal at the nick of time, 121st minute. So you can't take anything away from what he has done so far. I believe with his exploits so far, they are going to give him the job permanently as a substantive coach, because at least he has done a whole lot for himself.
He has done a whole lot for himself, and we'll get to see. So it will now be Nigeria versus Ivory Coast on Sunday, and then on Saturday it will be South Africa taking on DR Congo. So, still talking about other issues in the African Cup of Nations, the hammer of the African Soccer Governing Body, that's CAF, is on some of the referees that have not done very well. One of the biggest of them all is a man who is reputed to be one of the best referees in Africa, from Algeria. Gobai. Gobai is now a scapegoat, because it looks like his officiating has been, questioned. Mustafa Gobai is the newest of them all in the list of those that have to face the hammer of CAF.
Yes, of course. The authority had to spot some irregularities and some mal-officiation. And that is why the hammer came against him. I guess, yes, if my memory can serve me well, he was the one that officiated that Senegal game, where Senegal, we saw, some dangerous tackle from Sadio Mane, which should have resulted to red card, but he didn't pull out a red card. Instead, he went for a yellow card, which for me, the fans were very, very displeased, and the story went viral, and I guess that caught the attention of CAF. And also, that they have their own policemen on ground talking about, match commissioners as well, who will be taking report and sending it back to them out there. So I believe these are the reasons why it was, sanctioned. And of course, if you ask me, I think it is a good one, because they want to maintain the standard and integrity of the game, so that some of this poor officiating will not bring to disrepute the integrity of the African Cup of Nations, having seen the massive improvement, so far in this year's edition. So I think this is going to serve as a deterrent to other referees.
Deterrent to other referees, but this is where we'll end it today. But we cannot leave without telling you that our sports extraordinary goes to Nwabali, for doing better than Rowan Williams should have done.
Definitely, truly deserving. Some of those point-blank saves, even saving 2 penalties in the final, is a massive one for him.
Massive one for him. We wish them all the best as they prepare for the final game on Sunday. It will be Nigeria versus Ivory Coast, that particular one. And we hope that a repeat of what happened in the group stages will come, so that we can come here and announce to you joyfully. My name is Ekwa Temple. Many thanks to Kingsley Emmanuel, to Emmanuel Michael for being part of the conversation this evening. Enjoy the best of viewings from Atlantic Television Network. Go to our social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, and X, to continue further conversation here. Bye-bye.
From the line across the ocean.